Good morning, guys. Welcome to my channel. My name is Amber, and if you are new to my channel, I'll just give you a quick introduction to who we are here in just a moment. But today I am going to talk about some of the reasons, 5 main reasons why we began the homesteading lifestyle. Hi everyone! We have 2 new baby goats. So I came up here to the barn. I've been worried about these 3 little babies, and it looks like they have found a new mom. Everyone is super happy. Okay, so by way of introduction, if you're new here, like I said, my name is Amber, and we live in East Tennessee, and we are what I guess we kind of consider ourselves modern homesteaders, and we have been living this lifestyle on purpose for at least the last 5 or 6 years. But before that, I actually grew up on a 4th generation homestead. When I went back to my county records and read about my family's homestead, it was actually established in the late 1800s. My family still lives on that property today, and I actually moved back to my family's original homestead property and began our began our journey there. We'd already been doing stuff, but I felt drawn back to my family's homestead to just kind of reconnect and to go back to the way my great-grandparents used to live. Since then, we had a property come up that we were able to actually buy, so I do not live now on my family's, ancestors' homestead. Still live pretty close by, and there's several reasons for why we ended up moving, but that's a whole nother video, which I may link down below. But just to kind of give you an idea of who we are, my husband's grandparents, they both of his grandparents grew up on farms, and they even owned their own little homestead for quite a while. And my husband grew up there in his youngest years on their little farm, and life goes on. And after we had children, we both decided that we like living more country lifestyle, and so that's on his side of things. On my side of things, I grew up in the country my whole life. Grew up on my family's homestead. They actually were a produce farm. They were owned produce trucking company, a couple of grocery stores. So they were very connected in providing the community with local fresh produce. So that just kind of runs deep in my blood. So I was always taught a lot about gardening, even as a kid. I was raised with horses and cows and goats and chickens and a little bit of everything throughout the years. Sorry. So I grew up pretty old-fashioned and country as it is. And, I decided whenever I was a teenager, I really did not want to live that lifestyle anymore. Grew up, lived in a couple of larger cities. My husband was in the military, so we moved around. We lived, close to military bases for a while, and then we moved back to East Tennessee once he was out of the military. And we began our journey kind of back towards both of our roots. So that is who we are as a family. We have 2 kids, and so today I want to tell you some of the main reasons, though, why we left more suburbia city type lifestyle behind and came back to the country. And maybe y'all will share in some of these reasons why you want to homestead.
Let's go. Come on. Come on. Hey,
Don't be mean to her. Bless it. This is the fainting goat. It always wants to fall over. It gets so excited. Ducks, do you need it? Yummies too. Here. Come here. Everybody can have some. So guys, my first reason is that I can't really explain the reason. Other than to say I do feel like this way of life is a calling, and either you have it or you don't. And sometimes people mistake the allurement of animals and you know, a big piece of land and a pretty garden on Pinterest. They mistake that as a calling because what they actually feel is just an attraction to that lifestyle, but it's not. But at the end of the day, there's not really an actual calling, and I can say for sure for our family that this is something that has been truly a calling for us, and that is the one thing that has gotten us through some really rough times, because what you don't see on Pinterest and YouTube are all of the times you are hungry, are all of the things that are not so glamorous about this lifestyle. And if you don't have a true calling and a true spark in your heart and your being as part of your makeup and who you are to want this for your life, then you are going to sell the animals, sell the farm, and go back to your old way of living very quickly. And I have seen that over and over again. That's it, girl. That's it. Look, it's empty. It's empty. We gotta go get more. So our first reason is just simply that it is what we believe is a calling. And that is not something that if you'd asked me 15 years ago where I would be, wanting a farm is not where I ever expected my life to be. And you change, you mature, your eyes are open to the way things are in life, and lots of different factors can play into that. But at the end of the day, I do believe it is a God-given spark that is put within you for a reason. And so that's where we are at. Hey baby, blessed. Mama's being cranky today. And that is our number one reason why we live the way we live. So, our second reason. Hey guys, so my second reason for why we do what we do is because many years ago, well before 2020, several different chains of events and just several different things I truly believe just was a God thing, Him laying it on my heart, really opened my eyes to the fact of that our world cannot continue spinning at the rate it is, you know. Stop, get out of there. And our food system, her food system isn't broken. She knows exactly where she will eat so much she will be sick. Is that I realized a long time ago, and our food system was terribly broken. And also, this probably came a lot from the fact that I grew up where, go on, that I grew up on a farm. Not really a farm, really just a homestead, where we always hunted, so we always had deer meat. We always had a garden. We went off and on with goats and chickens, cows, you name it. We spent every weekend of our life riding horses, trail riding, exploring the outdoors. Usually that was our family vacation was going camping for a week with other like-minded people. And it was just a lot slower, simpler time, but I realized just how far away from that lifestyle the average American had gotten, how far away my own family had gotten. And I realized the simplicity and beauty, even though it's really not that simple, the beauty in that lifestyle. And I wanted to bring my kids back to that lifestyle. But mainly, it was really a God thing, telling me that I needed, for the future of my children, their well-being, if nothing else for their mental health and well-being, to take a step back and do more outdoors, that they need to learn how to grow their own food so that those skills were not lost. So that is our second reason, is that I really didn't want all the things in the childhood that I had, the skills that people in my family had and had taught me. I didn't want that to just die with me. So my second reason for choosing this lifestyle is just because I don't want the skills and old ways of life to die with me. There's something that I enjoy, that I love learning about, I love doing. There are things that that bring back memories of my childhood. You know, the smell of an old wood stove, snapping beans, oh goodness, just so planting a garden every spring, sowing seed, caring for animals, the morning barn chores. Those were things that I grew up as part of my daily life. So those are things that are important to me, and I didn't want those skills and those traditions to die with me. I want my children to grow up where those become their family traditions and their family values and their family skills and way of life, because I feel like those are the things that rooted and grounded me, and I want those to be the things that root and ground my children, because it is a beautiful way of life. And life gets crazy as you get older, and you really need to be able to tap into something real and firm, and that you can go back and know that it was tried and tested and true, and have to dig deep as you get older in life. And I want my children to be able to come back to this place in their life and while they were children, and have that as a rooting and grounding force to push them and drive them in their lives as they go ahead. So that the number 2 reason is to continue our ways that our families have always done. I want those ways to continue on with my children and grandchildren and their great-grandchildren. Okay guys, so my third reason was simply put, it was a way that I felt like I can honor my ancestors, the people who had gone before me, and homesteading is a way for me to honor our family heritages, hence the name Heritage Hollow Homestead. I really want to tap into that heritage that we have, because I do believe that if you do not know where you came from, that it's going to be very hard for you to find why you are going where you're going, how to get where you need to go in life. I believe that God has a plan for every one of our lives, and understanding where you came from is going to help you on your journey to where you are going. And so if you can see right here behind me, there's a little old white country church. So that was my grandfather's church, a little white Methodist church. He was the pastor there. I've went there, played the piano for him when he was the pastor there. Like, and that's the reason. He is the reason. My other, my grandfathers and great grandfathers that I didn't even know, but I grew up on their property. I grew up around their home that they hand built with their own hands and a farm that they built with their own hands. They are the reason why we homestead. So we moved back to, and I can add some clips in here of my side of my family's, my father's side. His family were the people who owned a farm, a produce farm, and that is how they, for generations, raised their family. They're all farm workers, and so I moved back there, and that really did help me tap into what their side of life was like, what their view of life was. And so then when we moved, I kind of felt bad leaving that behind in a way, like I was leaving part of the reason why I do what I do. So then when we found the property that we're buying here, and I realized where it was, and like literally our property touches the property of this little church. Well, the last Methodist church was my grandfather pastored, and it reminded me, you have many sides to your family heritage, and so I do it for him too. He was an avid gardener with native roots, and he was just an amazing outdoorsman, and realistically, the spiritual side of things in our lives, a lot of that stemmed from him, and the outdoorsman side of my family actually comes from him as well. It wasn't until my dad was actually probably my age that he just decided as a hobby to take up hunting and fishing and such, because when he grew up on a farm, they did not need to hunt and fish because they raised their livestock and did not have a need for any meat or anything outside or food outside of that. But my grandfather on the other side of things, so my mother's side of the family, came from a native heritage. He was just naturally amazing at hunting and trails and gardening and all of the more natural side of things, whereas my father's side of the family was more of a business side of homesteading. So I realized that was like, I don't know, that was just really special to me that his church is right there, because it reminded me that not to put all my eggs in one basket, to remember that I should be honoring several sides of my family and my family heritage. And so that is the next reason why I chose to live this lifestyle, is to honor my family heritage. So my next reason is because, and I already hinted at this, but it is a real true driving force behind my daily life and why I do the things that I do, why I'm always trying to learn something new, why I'm always wanting to progress and have more planted and grow more, and find new ways of using things to have better livestock, quality livestock, to do all of those things, is because I really truly believe with all my heart that the speed that our world is turning in, the way our food systems are, cannot continue to sustain itself. And I believe that for probably the last 7 or 8 years. Just have been very move my camera here. I genuinely believe that we cannot, as a whole, continue down the road that we have been racing down, and we all saw very quickly what the tiniest amount of panic this year has done to our food supply system. But I saw that those scenarios played out, not in a doomsday kind of way, but just as a realistic way of thinking many years ago. And I thought, I don't want that in our lives. I don't want to be controlled by fear. I don't want to be controlled by by the greed of others around me. I want to be in control as much as possible. I know at the end of the day, we're really not in control of anything. God is. But there are steps that we can take to become more in control of the well-being of our own families, of our own lives. That is something that people have become very disconnected with. I realized all of that. I realized how disconnected people were from the food that is on their plate, the very thing that gives us life day to day, and how disconnected they are to it. I realized that years ago, and it has been my driving force in wanting to become sustainable. Not because I'm a doomsday prepper, quite the opposite. I don't want to be driven by fear. Therefore, I want to live the way that I live now. I don't want to be disconnected from where my food is. So we live the way that we live now. I want to know that the food that I ate lived a happy, healthy life the way God intended it before it comes to my plate. And I truly believe that the more sustainable you are, the more connected you will be spiritually, and the more connected you're going to be and more well-rounded you're going to be as a human being, because this is how God created us. He put us in a garden. He told us to have dominion over the animals. It's the beginning. It is as close as you're going to be able to get to the way God intended for things to be and we live in a fallen world. But when you try to get back to as close as the way God intended for things to be, you are going to by nature be closer to Him. It forces you daily to rely on the fact that He supplies the rain. He's in control of the weather. He is who made this seed. What an amazing, miraculous event takes place when a seed breaks open and life pops out and brings you many seeds in return and gives you life with its food. You just become connected in a very different way when you are constantly the caregivers of animals in God's creation. You realize how amazingly different He created every animal and what their unique purposes are. You just become a lot more connected, and that is something that I want for myself and my own inner peace and well-being. Something that I desperately wanted for my children and for them to be connected in that way. So that is the next reason why we choose to live the way we live, not because we are living fearfully, but because we want to push all of that out. We want to be able to live peacefully, and that is the allurement of this lifestyle, is a way to live peacefully, and it truly does bring a lot of peace and a lot of contentment. And that leads to my last point of why we choose to live the lifestyle that we do. So I thought I'd walk over here next to my little fall kind of garden area. You can see everything's starting to pop up in my little rows here, which I'm very happy about. So this is the beginning of one of the main reasons why I began to homestead the garden, and not just because it gives us food. So one of my number one reasons is as a form of therapy. So that may not be a reason that you've ever thought about homesteading before. However, I would highly recommend it if you struggle with any type of anxiety, if you struggle with stress, PTSD, anything of that nature. I'm trying to get the little goats in the background so you can watch them as well. Let's see here. Let's see. There you go. Now you can see them in the background. So, they are one of the many reasons why I homestead, and that is for just the therapy behind it. Therapy that I didn't even know that I needed, but therapy that I did know that my children needed. So I'll take you back 13, 14, not 13 years, about 11 years ago, and we had a child who had a severe, I don't want to call it an eating disorder, but it was in a sense, in the fact that they wouldn't eat anything. And you have the people who just say, well, if they get hungry enough, they will eat. Well, that is not true. And what this stemmed from was some sensory disorders, and it stemmed from sensory disorders and such that were out of her control. She was little. She didn't understand why she felt the way she felt, but she was actually literally afraid to try new foods. So, what does that have to do with a garden, right? If she doesn't eat food, then what would a garden make any difference? So, I'm going to tell you as soon as I get the sun out of my eyes. Dramatic. She had a sensory disorder that caused her to not want to try new foods because she did not like the textures. She was afraid that they would be too spicy or too this or too that. So she clung on to only a few certain types of foods that were safe to her. And so I took her to food therapy, where they would put all these cute different little types of food out, and she would try them. And honestly, it cost a fortune, and it didn't really do that well. And so I had an aha moment. I thought, what if she's involved in the process of growing her food, and that will take away the anxiety from it, because she will be so excited that it grew that she will want to try it. So I am pleased to tell you that it absolutely worked 110%. That year we lived in town. We didn't even have enough space for a garden. So I asked my parents if I could use their garden space to plant a garden with my kids. Just like, what is that sound? And it's this little goat behind me smacking on a pumpkin. So what we did is I let her pick out the foods that she wanted to plant. And the rooster's being mean to the babies. Hey, come here. Yeah, come here. You don't want to get a pet? And so she picked corn and green beans, and let's see, corn, green beans, onions, squash and zucchini, and tomatoes. And we planted all of that. She planted it, and I even have some old video clips. If I can find that, I will put it out of her. Her favorite thing to plant is onions. It's her favorite, green beans and onions. So she planted them. She was probably 4 at the time, 5, I don't know. And she was in charge of helping me water them. And then when it came time and they grew, she was so excited that what she had planted had grown. She was always in charge of helping me pick everything, and in charge of helping me, like snap the beans and such as that, and even slicing it and preparing it and cooking it. And from that time forward, she began trying. Once she tried a couple of new foods out of the garden, it took away some of her anxiety, that the thought that all foods are scary and bad. And from there, she began to continue to try new foods, and that went on not with just vegetables, but different meats, different spices. And today, she eats actually a larger, probably variety of foods on a daily basis than I do. And it's amazing, and she eats super healthy. And yeah, it was amazing. It was growing a garden for my child with a sensory disorder was literally, it was life-changing. It was amazing. So it was therapy for her in that way. And then throughout the years, which is a lot of things that I just want to even go into with family, not myself or my own family, but outside issues with extended family and different things. We had crazy years of chaos and stress, and we were a prior military family before we had kids. Look at this. They are it's so crazy. running and playing. Are you eating my hair? You are. And so it became very apparent that I actually needed some form of therapy myself, and that is when chickens and goats arrived. And I can tell you, just like you see right here, right now, it has been the best form of therapy that you could ever have. It is realistically probably cheaper than paying a therapist, and it has helped me re-ground and reconnect and just reground myself. It has significantly reduced my amount of stress and anxiety, which I'm by nature and a very outdoorsy person anyway, and this has given me an outlet to be able to do that on a daily basis. It has given me a reason to come out every single day, rain or shine, good days or bad days, and has given me an outlet to learn and to progress and to feel successful in so many different ways. That it has been therapy, not only for my children but for myself, and I would highly recommend it. And if I did this for no other reason except for this reason alone, I would do this lifestyle for the rest of my life. There is no better form of therapy than to plow up some fresh dirt and smell it and get your hands in the dirt and plant a seed and baby it and watch it grow. It is the best form of therapy, reconnecting just that grounding of the earth to you, with the earth and what else going around you and outside and sunshine and just all of it. Just the smell of fresh dirt, I love it. I always have, but it actually is scientifically proven that the smell of fresh dirt is stress reducing. We all know that having pets or animals is stress reducing. So when you take all of those things into consideration, if you want to live a less stressful life, not that there aren't stresses and very sad moments when things don't go right and disappointments, but this will give you a different view on life and ground you and give you all sorts of stress relief outlets, and it is just good for the soul. So if I never did this for any other reason except for therapy and stress reducing, I would, like I said, I would continue to do this lifestyle for the rest of my life. So that's our main reasons why we do what we do. I would love to hear why you do why you live the lifestyle you live. Hey guys, so that was it for my 5 main reasons. I could probably talk about this lifestyle and all the reasons that you should, could, and need to get started with your own homestead, your own urban oasis of a garden, maybe some backyard chickens. I could go on and on all the reasons why you should, but those are my 5 main reasons. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. I hope you guys have a blessed day and stay tuned. Bye. What are you planting? Hey, what are you planting? Do you like okra? Yeah? What else are you planting? What? And? Okra. Onions. Yeah. Carrots. Alrighty. You're doing a good job.
I want water.
Okay.